Welcome back, guys. We're continuing on with these Mechabellum 1v1 replays. Forgot what the game was called for a second there. So this was probably the closest game I've had in a very long time. I've had a couple of close ones, but this one was down to the wire. So he should be in for a treat. So I've gone for Quick Supply Specialist with Stormcallers and Crawlers. So I've started using a new strategy, and it's got its flaws. It's definitely not perfect, but it has given me a lot of success. So it's basically 5 crawlers in a line at the front with enough space between them to fit a giant. Now, I don't necessarily always put a giant there, but it's an option if I feel like I need to put a giant there. And then the units that I use behind are always random, whatever I'm given basically. But as long as I start off with 5 crawlers up front, I'm happy. So the opponent's gone for steel balls and arc lights, and he's brought in some wasps. So he is cost control specialist, which gives him extra cash, but a little bit reduced HP and damage. Now the damage doesn't really make much difference for steel balls because they ramp up in damage anyway as they're attacking, so it's pretty irrelevant, the reduced damage on the steel balls. But obviously I don't have anti-air, so he is going to win this first round. So there's a couple of options here that I could potentially choose. Mass-produced wasp is good for a screen, but I've already got a crawler screen, so don't really think I'll be needing this. And then improved phoenix is pretty good, but phoenix is quite often overkill the target anyway, so with the increased recruitment cost by 100, that is quite extortionate. Charged ammo is an interesting one, where it disables the enemy's tech, but obviously it's only on a single unit, so it's very situational. And deployment module is if you want to mess with people on the flanks. Put something on the flank and then move it away. Well, because he's already covering the flanks, I decided not to go for anything, and I just skipped. So it looks like he skipped as well. So I'm going for Mustangs to combat these wasps. The Mustangs will also help cover the flanks. So I'm deploying them forward at the minute. I'm not covering the flanks with them quite yet, because I want to win the round basically. So until I actually get threatened on the flanks, I'm just going a bit gung-ho and actually charging everyone forward. So I expected him to put wasps over here with steel balls again, but it doesn't appear as if he has done. That's why I put these Mustangs here. So he's kind of left his left tower quite exposed, which is a little bit of an odd decision, but it's obviously something that he's done on purpose. Gone for a lopsided defense. Most people do a lopsided attack, not a lopsided defense, so it's a little bit weird, but we'll see how it goes, we'll see how it develops. So the Mustangs are coming in to rescue the Stormcallers, finish off them pesky wasps. Now, obviously all of our Mustangs on the right hand side died, So if he puts the same setup over the left side, then we're going to be in trouble. So we are going to need something else, or something more, to kill these wasps if he adds more of them. Now, I'm trying to decide whether to bring sledgehammers in here, but I decide against it, and I think about the long game, and I buy the portable shield, ready for late game when I bring in a giant. Or potentially bring in a giant, it might be a rhino. So I've brought in a couple more mustangs. Two-pronged reason, one to defend the flanks, and another one to combat the wasps. And I'm bringing in another Stormcaller. Now, because he's got arc lights, my crawlers are just dying before they actually do anything. Now, the point of this strategy of putting the crawlers up front is to lull the opponent into a false sense of security. So basically, at the moment, he's just annihilating the crawlers, and so he believes he's safe. And then later on in the game, I'll upgrade the crawlers with underground blitz, which will mean that the crawlers actually make it to the destination, and it'll completely change the face of the battle. But if you do it straight away, they obviously know that it's coming then, so they can prepare for it. Where if you wait and do it later on in the game, then it'll catch them off guard, and in the late game you can quite often win a battle just off 1 or 2 rounds. So saving something like that in your pocket, not showing your hand too early, is basically what this strategy is all about. It's obviously I've got an adaptable strategy here where I can decide to bring in giants or not, to bring in rhinos or not, to upgrade these crawlers or not. And so it's a nice strategy that's easily malleable. You can change it to whatever suits your needs, basically. And another thing that I like about this strategy is if you bring in overlords and put photon coating on them, you can basically get photon coating on practically your entire army just with 3 overlords, one here, and one here. So that is something that I like to do. Just use the overlords primarily as a defensive unit, or a support unit I should say, rather than aggressively, which is how I normally use overlords. But for now, we got subsidised steel balls, so I decided, because things aren't going too well, I'm going to try and match his level 2 steel balls with my own level 2 steel balls, just to see if we can shore up these flanks, because at the moment I don't intend on winning the centre. This is just a bluff for the time being, and the Stormcallers are obviously here to try and thin them out. But I want to try and secure the flanks, and then once I've managed to get the flanks secured, that is when I'll be able to go for the all-in push down the centre. So at the moment I'm just letting him take the centre, just using the Stormcallers to wear him down. But it's working quite well. Bringing in them steel balls has turned the tide on the flanks for me. Let me take the towers. And next up we have a couple of options here: speed specialist and range specialist. Now obviously I am kind of going for a speed build, so the speed specialist makes sense, but I wanted to go for the ranged specialist because I wanted to outrange his steel balls with mine. And because the range is really short on the steel balls, it's only 45, I felt that a 12-meter increase on 45 was huge, an extra 25% basically. So I decided to go for the range specialist, and I'm bringing in a wasp screen for the steel balls because I'm expecting him to use missiles or something else potentially to get rid of these steel balls. So I'm just wasp screening them. The wasps aren't really intended to do anything apart from screen and attract attention of the snipers. So yeah, it's interesting. He started off on a right-hand lopside, and now he's gone for snipers on the left. So now he's got a left-hand lopside going on. It's quite an interesting strategy he's got. But we've brought in some crawlers at the back as well to help protect the Mustangs. And it's a really close fight. It's a really close fight. Looks like we're managing to take the right-hand tower again, but we're losing our left flank. So it'll be interesting to see if we manage to get across in time before he reaches our left-hand tower. Looks like these steel balls are going to make it through, which is unfortunate. So that's going to win them the round probably. So the Stormcallers are doing the best to minimise the damage that we take. Unfortunately, this steel ball survived on a sliver of health. And we didn't quite manage to take out the sniper either with the rockets, which was a bit of a shame. Okay, something happened here, which I learnt. So basically, laser sights on the Overlord, because I'm about to bring in some Overlords. On the Overlord, they have an ability where they shoot the ground, a shot where they only target the ground, this Overlord artillery. Now, I didn't realise, but this laser sight does not affect this Overlord artillery, and what happens is your Overlord stays outside of the range of the artillery and only uses his main gun. So if you buy laser sights and put it on an Overlord, you're basically nerfing him. So that's one thing that I've learnt. Don't buy the laser sights for Overlords if you're going to buy this Overlord artillery, which 90% of people do. So yeah, that screwed me over a little bit. I haven't bought the Overlord artillery yet, but I will be doing soon. So for the time being, I'm just bringing in the Overlords. I haven't got enough cash to actually upgrade the tech for them. Just upgrading these Mustangs. And because he's gone heavy on the steel balls, I've decided not to go for any land-based giants, because steel balls will just wreck them. Which is why I plumbed for the Overlords. But the portable shield on the Overlord kept it alive for a little bit longer, but the sniper has now got double shot. So the double shot snipers make incredibly short work of giants. It's a really good ability, and I don't even think I've got it on snipers. But I don't even use snipers, to be honest. So that's why I haven't bothered putting it on. So, as you see, oh no, I haven't actually got the Overlord artillery yet, but he was outside of the Overlord range there, the artillery range, so he wouldn't have been shooting his artillery barrage then. But if you look just how close this battle is, the last round and this round has gone down to the wire. Incredibly close game. We are down to round 7 now. So I saw the nuke, and I'm not going to lie, I was tempted, but there's a lot of time left in this battle. And really, you want to use the nuke on the final turn. So he's gone for the haste module, and I believe that I also go for the haste module. I'm surprised that he didn't go for the giant hunter, but he obviously wanted the extra attack. So I've gone for the haste module as well, leveling up the overlords. I'm going to be bringing some more in. So I've given the photon coating now. So now all of my army basically is going to be photon coated for the first 16 seconds of the battle, I think it is. And I'm going to be putting this haste module on this overlord. I'm trying to put him into a position where he's going to target these. I didn't want him right in the middle, because I wanted him to target this and then potentially the tower and then move on to these. So that's why I didn't put him right here, here or here. And there's also still a nice space around here for another overlord to bring in. And I've gone for the overlord artillery now and another set of Mustangs. Not really sure what the opponent's gone for, it just looks like more of the same. There goes the photon coating, keeping everyone alive. I still haven't gone for the underground blitz on the crawlers yet. So I've still got that card in my pocket. So if you see here, he's outside of his range. So he's shooting his main gun, he's stopping before he gets inside of the range. So he's actually completely nerfed by putting that ability on him, which is rather a shame. But nevertheless, we managed to win the round. And I think next round is the one where I decide to go for the underground blitz on the crawlers to change the battle. So I was trying to decide whether to go for Assault Vulcan, just to try and clear up some of the units, but with the steel balls around and with the snipers, it just wouldn't get a chance to actually do what it wanted to do. So I believe that I decide to go for this tank production line, which you can put on another overlord, even though it's a flying unit, and it'll deploy tanks into the battle. So we've got one more overlord in, just slotting it here. I want him to go further into the centre, so I just moved him across a couple of tiles, just to keep him away from the sniper a bit. And there we go. I've activated the subterranean blitz, and now things are going to completely change on the front line now. Let's see if we can see the tanks coming out of this overlord. Yep, there they are, just spawn in. And as you can see, my crawlers actually make it to the front line now, which delays their units. Even though it's only for a couple of seconds longer, them couple of seconds just buy enough time for the overlords to get in an extra volley. So it's not massive, but it makes a difference. So unfortunately, he's got laser sights on this sniper. So he's outranging my overlords. And he's got double tap as well, so we're going to have a rough time against this sniper here. So this is where I noticed that he wasn't shooting his overlord artillery, because I should have shot him with the overlord artillery and then shot this one with my main attack, and he didn't. And that's when I noticed. But we managed to win the round with one Stormcaller left. This is how close this battle is. That's 3 rounds that have gone down to the last 2 or 3 units. So he's immediately locked in heavy armour. I've gone for barrier. So I'm finally going to bring in a land-based giant now, just so I can stick the barrier on him, just to keep the units alive as long as possible. I also decided to bring in a second one for this right-hand side. I'm not really sure if it was a good idea to do this, but I was thinking if I'm going to buy the barrier on him, then I may as well buy 2 of them and get the benefit twice. Now, I can't actually afford to buy the barrier this turn, and unfortunately I couldn't afford to level up these overlords either. So this was probably a mistake bringing him in. I only wanted to do it because I'd activated the elite recruitment and I wanted to take advantage of it. So he's bringing in 2 rockets here, but that's not going to help. The first rocket and the second rocket are going to hit the same target. So that is completely pointless bringing in 2 rockets. If he wanted to double rocket, he should have put the other one back here, so the wasps die from the first rocket and the second rocket doesn't shoot until the wasps are dead. So yeah, that was a mistake on his part, double rocketing. But as you can see, the crawlers are surviving, just buying time. So maybe about 5 seconds time it bought, and the overlords shoot at 4 seconds intervals, so it bought enough time for an extra shot of the overlord. And we've taken down this right hand tower. Not quite sure why he didn't bring some more snipers in on this right hand side, but he's going for a steel ball flank. But we've taken out this tower now, and we're just about to deal with the snipers. So even though the steel ball flank worked for him, it didn't help him. The battle was already over by then. So we are incredibly close to the end, or to defeating him I should say. And look what's shown its face, nuke. So I'm 99% sure he's going to buy the nuke. So I decided to buy it. I don't feel guilty buying the nuke when it's a card like it is now. It was only before, when you could just buy it whenever you wanted, that it felt dirty. But yeah, my only intention for this nuke is to take out the snipers, which sounds like a bit of a waste, but it's the snipers that are doing all of the damage to me. So although they're just tier 1 units, they are deadly, and I need to address this steel ball flank now. So I'm just upgrading my overlords, and I'm bringing in an overlord to deal with these steel balls. So he places his nuke in a very odd position. He obviously knows that his right hand side keeps falling, but I don't think he realised quite how far forward I was pushing, because I wasn't actually pushing that far forward. So I don't believe that this nuke is actually going to hit that many of my men. But I've just put a crawler screen just to make sure the steel balls stand still. He's brought in a double rocket here. I don't get it. I don't get the reason for this. He knows that I'm shielding up, so double rocket here makes absolutely 0 sense. Here come the nukes. His nuke missed all of my units, and my nuke annihilated all of his. So, and this fortress is doing a fantastic job taking out these high level steel balls. So yeah, the very last round was a complete disaster for him, but all of the rounds before that were on a knife edge. Really, really fun battle this one was. I really enjoyed it. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to overcome this sniper strategy that he had going, but I think things might have been a bit different if he had a sledgehammer front line instead of a fang front line, but maybe not. But nevertheless, very, very fun. And it's not often I go for massed overlords, so yeah, it was interesting. I enjoyed it. So I hope you enjoyed it too, and join me again in the next one. We'll see what happens there. Cheers for watching, take care, and I shall see you soon.